going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive, but you guys some awesome Pokemon Go news, leaks, and events. Pokemon Go Generation 4 is right around the corner as it seems, and we got some really cool information here from a potential leaker on the Silph Road and Pokemon Go Reddit forums. Now if you guys don't know, Pokemon Go has been picking up so much steam over the last few months, reaching its highest viewer and usage peak since its original launch a couple years ago. Generation 4 is right around the corner, and there's obviously a lot of Pokemon that are linked to previous generation Pokemon, including new evolutions, the eeveelutions coming up with the Eevee Community Day, and so many other more aspects. Pokemon Go is on fire, just adding trading and of course lucky Pokemon and all sorts of cool stuff in between, and they've continuously put out more and more events over the last couple weeks. But in this video we're going to be talking about Generation 4, the hype of Generation 4, what that's going to mean for the game, and the fact that it is very possible that even just tomorrow or today or even in a few days we could get this announcement that talks about Gen 4 finally coming out. So get hyped for that, man. Hit that like button down below, subscribe if you're new, of course, and just so you guys know, I've been doing Pokemon Go live streams on my Twitch channel, and I probably will be doing some very soon for that Pokemon Eevee Community Day, the 2-day event. But let's talk about this post here. So there's a post here on Reddit, this guy posting about a leak, and he's the guy who leaked the water festival event. That's how he kind of starts off this post, which kind of gives him some credibility. It says, hey, you know, I leaked this water festival event, and here's the post about that, and it ended up being true. They ended up showing the water event, which was like totally accurate. It ended up being a little bit before it was announced. So this guy has some credibility behind him. The group that he was going to that kind of was getting some inside leaks seemed to have some credibility because they leaked the water event. So moving forward, that kind of sets the stage here, and this is such a believable leak. It's not like made up. It feels super real. So I'm gonna take it for real, but obviously there's always the chance that it's not. You got to keep that in mind. But here's the evolution event coming next week, which could be as soon as today or tomorrow. Gen 4 evolutions of previous gen Pokemon, Magmortar, Electivire, Rhyperior specifically, look like they're going to be released first. Obviously the babies in Gen 2 were released. Halloween event released Shuppet and Duskull, and then Sableye, so kind of introduced Gen 3 that way. It makes a lot of sense for Generation 4 to be introduced with some of these evolutions. Obviously Tangela evolving into Tangrowth, and Misdreavus evolving into Mismagius. A lot of different Pokemon that have exclusive evolutions in Generation 4 in the Sinnoh region essentially. So a lot of those Pokemon may see light of day here in Pokemon Go before the rest of the generation gets released. Makes a ton of sense, especially with the Eevee Community Day coming up, with Glaceon and Leafeon being two evolutions that previously are unavailable in Pokemon Go. Makes a ton of sense for them to officially be revealed when, you know, obviously to introduce Generation 4. Makes a lot of sense. New evolution items, including Elemental Stones, Firestone, Waterstone, Leafstone, etc. Seems a little bit weird because we didn't have them previously. Normally you just evolve Eevee into Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon by chance, unless you use their nicknames initially. But I think with the Eevee Community coming out, it makes a lot of sense for these stones to be introduced, basically giving players an opportunity to choose which eeveelution they want, as opposed to rolling a die and then potentially getting an eeveelution they don't want, especially when it comes to having shinies, where you're going to want to pick that eeveelution, whether you want Jolteon or that purple Vaporeon or whatever it may be. So those new evolution items make a lot of sense. It's going to be interesting to see how they integrate the evolution for Glaceon and for Leafeon. Obviously in the main series games, the Ice Rock does exist. You can use the Ice Stone rather to evolve a couple different Pokemon, Alolan Vulpix and Alolan Sandshrew, into Alolan Ninetales and Alolan Sandslash. However, to evolve Glaceon, you use the Icy Rock, not the Ice Stone. So perhaps the Ice Stone will be introduced and be a way for you to evolve that Pokemon. Otherwise, maybe you have to evolve Eevee when it's snowing out. I don't know. They could do a couple different things there, but it's going to be a little tricky to determine how to evolve, you know, into Glaceon and Leafeon. Obviously, Leafstone could work, but it doesn't tie into the game, so I'm not sure what they'll do there. Double XP for evolving and spinning Pokestops, which is a really good event. I'm pretty excited about that. Having the ability to, you know, evolve Pokemon, get double XP, and then of course spinning Pokestops. I saw a guy actually, without catching a single Pokemon, I think, or maybe only one Pokemon, ended up getting like level 40 with just spinning Pokestops during a double XP Pokestop event, which is pretty nuts. Max storage increased to 2,000, which is always nice. Obviously, adding new generations means that people are going to want to have more box space, so getting to 2,000 is nice. Increased rate of evolution items from Pokestops, which is really good. So you're going to be encouraged to not only spin Pokestops, but you're going to also get those evolution items. I know personally, I need myself a King's Rock, so I got to get my Slow King. We've got increased spawn rate of evolved Pokemon, which is pretty interesting. So you'll be able to get some of those evolved Pokemon, perhaps maybe Magmars and you know, Electabuzzes maybe popping up, Rhydons, some things like that. Gen 3 evolutions finally released in the wild, except Milotic, so you'll be able to potentially get like Wailords or maybe you know, Shelgons and whatever else it may be. New quests that reward evolution items. So there's gonna be new quests that'll get you those evolution items. Makes sense. They taught the quest system into whatever the event they're doing. New raids with previous evolution item Pokemon. So Scizor is an example, which is really cool. And I'll mention here while I'm kind of talking about it, I think it's right here. Scizor now has catch rate encoding. So previously Scizor did not have its catch rate coded into the game. It was added and leaked that you do have a catch rate now for Scizor. So Scizor added to raids seems very, very likely. With that being said, so there's a cool opportunity there. New shop boxes with lucky heads and raid passes, totally makes sense. And then we're gonna get the new update before the event. So all these cool things could be potentially coming to Pokemon Go in the near future. This new wave of Generation 4 with the evolutions Magmortar, Electivire, Rhyperior, and then probably to follow, you'll see, like I said, Tangrowth, Mismagius, Frostlass being one, I believe, where previously Snorunt only evolved into Glalie. So that's actually a pretty cool option there too. So anyway, we talked about this, kind of the validity behind it. That's the water event. This is kind of the Silph Road talking about it. You can see a lot of people kind of saying that they think this is real. Here's some information on Gen 4 though. This is really kind of the big takeaway here, is looking at Gen 4 evolutions here. And I'll put the link to this. This is from Game Press. I'll put it in the description below if you want to look at this yourself. But the two Pokemon that are really going to be the top tier Pokemon from Gen 4 is Rhyperior and Mamoswine. Rhydon has been such a good Pokemon in Pokemon Go, and now having Rhyperior, which is just going to be absurd, with almost a max CP of 4,000. Mamoswine, of course, evolving from Poliwhirl. Mamoswine's got an incredible attack stat, so that's going to be a really strong Pokemon in general. And Swinubs pop up everywhere I live, so I'm going to get myself a Mamoswine real quick. But a great Ice-type attacker, which the game is relatively lacking, I would say, generally speaking. Then you're going to get some other cool Pokemon. You're going to get your Tangrowth, which evolves from Tangela. Very, very bulky Pokemon. Could be a pretty solid Grass-type. Electivire, obviously, not too shabby. Magnezone. That's pretty cool. Roserade of that Roselia event. You're going to be able to evolve into a shiny Roselia, or Roserade rather. You got Honchkrow, which evolves from the abundance of Murkrows everywhere. Togekiss could be really cool as a fairy and flying type. Glaceon, of course, evolving from Eevee, so we'll see how that goes. Glaceon with that incredible special attack stat, looking like it's going to be a relevant Pokemon, obviously ice types. And then Weavile coming from Sneasel. So now all of a sudden we have a couple really, really viable ice type attackers, which is pretty cool. Then we got some other Pokemon. Leafeon, obviously, with, you know, from Eevee. You got Magmortar, evolving your Magmar. Yanmega, really, really powerful bug type. There's not too many bug types that are going to be as powerful as Yanmega, so that's really cool. Porygon Z, very, very good evolution of Porygon. You got Gallade as well, which is going to give you an alternative evolution to Gardevoir. And I think it makes sense for them to release that first and then eventually do a Ralts Community Day. You got Gliscor, which is going to evolve from Gligar, pretty solid Pokemon. You got Mismagius. You got Dusk Noir for those Dusclops. Dude, if you have a shiny Dusk Noir, man, that's going to look phenomenal. Same with the shiny Frostlass, really cool Pokemon. Very low CP, obviously, which is a bummer because it's so frail and its attack is a little bit lacking, but definitely a cool Pokemon nevertheless. Probopass, of course, evolving from Nosepass is kind of trash. Ambipom, same deal there. And then Licky to kind of round things out. So that's going to be your you know, your Gen 4 evolution kind of decks here. And a lot of these are actually really, really cool, man. Some really cool Pokemon here that you can evolve into. And obviously Gen 4 has a wide array of other Pokemon that are going to be really solid in the metagame. Some of the legendaries, dude. Gen 4 has so many legendaries, which is going to be nuts. The raid system for that is going to be through the roof, man. There's going to be so many legendary raids coming with Gen 4. But you know, I'm really excited about a lot of these Pokemon. Like I said, I think Mamoswine being one of the big standouts, being a really, really strong ice attacker. That's going to be really, really helpful just to have that kind of power. Rhyperior instantly becomes one of the strongest threats in the game. And then I think some of these relevant Pokemon here are actually really good. I think being able to get an eeveelution like Glaceon that's going to be as strong as it is as an ice type is pretty cool because it's going to be very accessible for most players. So that's pretty neat as well. And then a couple of these Pokemon have some cool shinies as well. And last but not least, we talked about the Eevee Community Day really briefly. Obviously, this is coming up pretty soon. You got the Eevee Community Day on the 11th and 12th, 2 days, which is going to be the first time a community day has 2 days. The reason for that is obviously because of the you know, the I guess desire for people to have multiple shiny Eevees. You want to get 9 shiny Eevees basically, so that way you can cover all the eeveelutions and have Eevee. But I mean, I'm gonna be aiming for like 20, dude. I'm gonna be honest, so I can get all the shiny eeveelutions. And again, I think it makes so much sense for one, them to release Glaceon and Leafeon at this time. I think that just makes a ton of sense. Two, to have the opportunity to choose the eeveelution that you want based on the stones. I think if they do some updates, like there's not really a big downside. Like, okay, so now you have to evolve your, you know, Bellsprout with a stone or your Weeping Bell with a stone. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, so it looks like we got that 3-hour lure. You get the catch Stardust, which is really nice. And then here's all the eeveelutions. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Glaceon and Leafeon coming out as well as part of this event. I think it just makes a lot of sense for this Eevee Community Day. So my hope is to be streaming these 2 days. I just had a baby, my wife and I, 2 weeks ago, so I'll do my best, but my hope is to be streaming actually one or both days for the Community Day on my Twitch channel, so that'll be really cool. But let me know, what Pokemon are you guys most excited for the new generation of Pokemon Go? Generation 4 is right down the road. It's looking to be pretty darn awesome, and I'm really excited about it. So keep your eyes peeled for this update. Like I said, it's possible that it's not real, but I do think it is going to be real. I think it's legit. I think the timing makes a ton of sense. And, you know, props to Niantic and Pokemon Go for putting out some good stuff lately, man. I feel like they've hit a home run the last few months. As rocky as this game has been at times, they've hit a home run, and I'm like really pumped about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Thanks so much for checking out my last video. If you like that one, you'll definitely like this one, and be sure to subscribe for more as I post Pokemon videos every single day.